A mother's love. My heart's pounding just typing this like it's still happening. I promised myself I'd never tell a soul, but here I am, confessing to strangers because the weight of it's too much, and weirdly, too exciting to keep bottled up. Names changed, obviously. Mine's, let's say Grace. 29, married just over a year now to Robert. He's wonderful, really. A successful lawyer, handsome in that distinguished silver fox way, maybe 20 years my senior. A widower. We live in this big, beautiful house he shared with his first wife. Sounds almost perfect, right? Except Robert works constantly. Long, long hours. And me? I'm rattling around that big house, bored out of my skull. First marriage, no kids of my own yet. Just emptiness echoing off the expensive wallpaper. Then there's Max, Robert's son. 18. Football player. Oh Lord, the first time I saw him, I nearly dropped the casserole dish. He looked nothing like his dad. Tall, like a young oak tree, muscles defined even under his Letterman jacket. Handsome in a rugged, quiet way. When I was young, I always dreamed about those strong football players, and now there was one in my house. Girls buzzed around him, but he seemed shy, awkward almost. Preferred tinkering with that old red 57 Chevelle in the garage over parties. I really tried, to just be the nice new stepmom. But I couldn't stop looking. Couldn't help stealing glances at the way his jeans fit, the strength in his shoulders. And since he started calling me mom, I felt guilty each time I thought of him. Once, I found him asleep on the living room couch after practice. Deep asleep. And there it was, a firm bulge straining against his sweatpants. My breath hitched. I got closer, so close I could see the fabric twitch with his pulse. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. I shouldn't have, but I did. I stared. Imagined. Felt this heat spread low in my belly. After that, thoughts of him invaded everything. Even when Robert made love to me, gentle and attentive, it was Max's face, Max's body, that flashed behind my eyelids. I'd close my eyes tight, feeling so guilty, yet so alive. Then came the football game. Max took a bad hit. Broke his right arm in multiple places. Had to stay home to recover, his arm in this plaster cast. He was helpless, poor thing. Couldn't cut his food, couldn't dress himself properly. Robert, swamped with a big case, looked so relieved when I offered to take care of Max full-time. Grace, you're an angel, he'd said. If only he knew. Helping Max eat, my fingers brushing his as I guided the fork. Helping him dress, oh God. Undressing him. That first time, peeling off his t-shirt, my fingers trembling as they skimmed his warm skin, the hard planes of his stomach. He was down to his white cotton briefs. And he wasn't soft. Not at all. A distinct huge outline pressed against the fabric. I gulped, felt my cheeks flame, turned away quickly. But the image burned itself into my mind. The heat between my own legs was undeniable, a slick warmth that startled me. I started dressing differently. Robert wasn't home to notice. I wore flimsy, pale pink chiffon blouses without a bra, letting the outline of my nipples show through the sheer fabric. Short, white linen skirts that rode up when I sat. Sometimes, no underwear. I'd bend over unnecessarily when he was nearby, accidentally flash him when reaching for something high. At first, he seemed embarrassed, looking away. But then, I caught him looking. Really looking. His gaze lingering on my legs, my chest. We got closer. I fussed over him like a mother hen, bringing him lemonade while he tinkered one-handed on the Chevelle in the garage. We'd sit together on the plush living room sofa in the evenings, listening to the radio, Sinatra crooning softly. He held my hand and would call me mom and stroke my hair, and oh, I let him. The guilt was killing me. The air felt thick, charged. One evening, after Robert called saying he'd be even later, Max said he wanted a bath. Needed help, of course. My pulse skittered. I was wearing this flimsy yellow sundress, sunflower pattern, no bra beneath, and for some reason had a thought about if he would find out what was underneath. I pushed away the thought. I helped him undress down to those briefs again. This time, the bulge was more pronounced, straining the cotton. I started to leave as he took off his own briefs with his left hand. I wanted to turn around to look, but I couldn't. I heard him step into the warm water, sighing. The thin cotton clung slightly in the humid air. "Mom," his voice was low, husky. "Could you scrub my back? It's itchy under the cast edge." My mouth went dry. "Sure, sweetheart," I managed. I knelt beside the tub, picked up the washcloth and soap. I scrubbed his broad shoulders, the strong column of his neck. Leaned over, my dress gaping slightly. I knew he could see down to my breasts. I moved the cloth lower, over his chest, his flat stomach. His breathing changed. Grew deeper. And beneath the soapy water, it was happening. Rising. Hardening. Distending the surface. I couldn't tear my eyes away. It looked immense. My own breath came in short gasps. "Mom," he murmured, his voice thick. He shifted slightly, making the water ripple. "It's been hard. Since the injury." He paused, his eyes locked on mine, dark and intense. "I haven't been able to take care of myself. You know?" I froze, the washcloth hovering. "Max, Please," he whispered. "We're close now. Friends, right? Think of it as helping me with another part that needs attention. A favor." He leaned forward slightly, kissed my cheek. His lips were soft, warm. A jolt went straight through me and I started to get wet. Before I could think, before I could stop myself, my hand was under the water. My fingers brushed hot, hard flesh. Silken skin over steel. My own core clenched violently. He groaned, low and deep, as my hand closed around him. He was huge, thick and long, filling my hand completely. It pulsed against my palm. I began to move my hand, slowly at first, then faster, guided by his soft gasps and the way his hips lifted slightly. The water sloshed. It rose, stiff and proud, breaking the surface. The head, flushed and smooth, glistened. "Yes, oh God, Mom." He choked out. That word made me shudder with guilt. Then he tensed, his whole body arching. With a guttural cry, thick, pearly streams erupted, arcing through the air, landing hot on my forearm, my dress. There was so much of it. I was mesmerized, shocked, incredibly aroused. He slumped back, panting. I pulled my hand away, trembling, wiping it hastily on the washcloth. My cheeks burned and I left. I sat on my bed just staring at the wall, unsure of what I had done. When he called me again, I helped him dry off, trying to avoid looking at it. I quickly helped him get into his gym shorts, avoiding his eyes. Robert came home late, exhausted. I kissed him, made small talk, my mind screaming with the memory of Max's hardness, the feel of him, the sheer amount of liquid he'd released. That night, alone in bed beside Robert, I touched myself, imagining it was Max's hand, Max's hardness pressing against me. The guilt was a dull ache beneath the pulsing heat. The next morning, around 10, I realized Max wasn't up. Unusual since he always eats breakfast. I went to investigate. His door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open quietly. He was sprawled on his back, sheets tangled around his waist, sound asleep. And completely naked. Morning sunlight streamed over his body, highlighting the powerful muscles, the trail of dark hair leading down, and there it was again. Fully hard, standing straight up against his stomach, thick and magnificent. My mouth watered. I approached silently, my heart hammering. I gently shook his shoulder. "Max? Time to wake up." His eyes fluttered open. Blinked. focused on me. He didn't pull the sheet up. He just looked at me, a slow, knowing smile spreading across his face. "Been standing there long?" he asked, his voice rough with sleep. I flushed. "Just came to wake you up, you were." He reached out, his good hand catching my wrist. His grip was firm. "Do you think about me?" The question hung in the air, charged. My throat tightened. I couldn't lie. Not looking at him like that. "Yes," I whispered. "I think about you." "Good," he murmured. He tugged me gently closer to the bed. "Then help me again. Like yesterday." "But..." His eyes dropped to my lips. "Use your mouth this time." My stomach flipped. "Max, I can't." "You want to take care of me, don't you?" he said, his voice dropping lower, commanding. "You want to. I saw how you look at me, at my body." He guided my head down gently but insistently. Before I could think of what I was doing, I was on my knees. The heat radiating from him was intoxicating. The musky scent. I hesitated for only a second, overwhelmed by the sheer wrongness and the blinding need. My lips touched the silken, heated skin. I tasted salt. He groaned, a deep rumble in his chest. I took him into my mouth, as much as I could. He was so big, stretching my lips wide. I moved my head, my tongue swirling. His left arm reached over and his fingers tangled in my hair, not forcing, but holding. Guiding. "Oh my God, Mom, your mouth, my God," he said. I lost myself in the rhythm, the feel of him filling my mouth, the sounds he made. His grip tightened suddenly. "I'm close," he gasped. He pushed my head down firmly, holding me there. I felt him pulse, swell impossibly more. Then the hot, salty liquid flooded my mouth, thick and abundant. I swallowed reflexively, then coughed. He held my head there, and then I couldn't help taking more of it down. It was filling my mouth so fast it was the only way I could breathe. His arm was so strong, holding me in place. He held me until the last tremor subsided, then released my hair, panting. I pulled back, wiping my mouth, dizzy, shocked at myself. He just looked at me, satisfied, a predator surveying his conquest. I was so embarrassed I started to clean him up with the bedsheet. He grabbed me gently and pulled me onto the bed, laid me down, setting my head on his chest. I tried to push away, but he wrapped me around him. Then I stopped resisting and just crumpled into him. Placing my hand on his chest, he said softly, "I love you, Mom, you take such good care of me." I told myself I was a good mother and that's all I was doing. But deep down, my mind knew better. I was going to a place that there was no turning back from. The shame and guilt mixed with overwhelming feelings of love for this boy. He was mine to take care of and I wanted him to feel how I felt about him. We stayed there, cuddling with small kisses for what seemed like forever. He was gone most of that day, something about meeting his coach. The house felt cavernous, empty. I couldn't concentrate. Couldn't stop thinking about his taste, the feel of him in my mouth, the way he'd held my head down. The guilt warred with a terrifying excitement. Robert called late afternoon. "Honey, I'm so sorry. Big dinner with clients tonight. Don't wait up." Relief warred with a strange disappointment. Now it was just Max and me for dinner. I cooked nervously, wearing a simple yellow sundress, something maternal, but underneath, nothing. Just bare skin. I felt reckless, but somehow I was hoping he would find me out. He came in, smelling of sweat and motor oil from the garage. "Smells good," he grinned. Then, unexpectedly, he pulled me into a hug. A real hug, his strong arms around me, his hard chest against mine. Before I could react, he dipped his head and kissed me. Not on the cheek. Full on the lips. Hard. Possessive. My traitorous body responded instantly, melting against him, kissing him back hungrily. We broke apart, breathless. He smirked. "Dinner can wait," he murmured, but then his stomach growled. We laughed, a nervous, charged sound. We ate in near silence, the tension thick enough to cut. Every glance felt loaded. After, he stretched. I'm sticky. Need a shower. Arm such a pain. I just told him okay and I followed him upstairs. My hands trembled as I helped him undress. He was already half hard again. I carefully wrapped his cast in plastic sheeting we got from the hospital. He stood before me, naked, magnificent, fully aroused. Get your bathing suit, he ordered softly. Help me scrub. Properly this time. The command sent shivers down my spine. Max, but I started, guilt flaring. We shouldn't. Mom, just get into a suit, he repeated, his gaze unwavering. Now. That tone, it unraveled something in me. I went to the bedroom. Put on a low-cut pink one-piece, one that I only wore for my husband. Stared at myself in the mirror. Cheating. I was cheating on Robert with my own stepson. But the image of Max, waiting. I couldn't stop. I walked back to the bathroom. Steam filled the air. He was in the large walk-in shower, the water cascading over his powerful body, his back to me. He turned. His eyes raked over me in the swimsuit, darkening with desire. My breasts were perking up. Come in, he said. Not a request. I stepped under the warm spray. He handed me the soap. Scrub me. I started on his shoulders, his back, avoiding the front. My hands slid over slick muscle. He turned around. Faced me. Water streamed down his chest, his stomach, over that hard, thick length that was standing straight up. He took my hand, placed it firmly on his chest. Everywhere he commanded. My hand slid lower with the soap, over his stomach. I hesitated. He covered my hand with his hand, pressed it down onto his hardness. I gasped. He was burning hot, rock solid. My fingers curled around him instinctively. He groaned, pulling me close. His mouth crashed down on mine, demanding and hungry. His good hand slid down my back, cupped my buttock through the wet fabric, pulling me hard against him. I could feel his arousal pressed against my stomach. His hand moved to the strap of my swimsuit, tugging it down my shoulder. Then the other. He peeled the wet fabric down, exposing my breasts to the steamy air and his hungry gaze. He bent his head, took a nipple into his hot mouth, sucking so softly. I cried out, arching against him. His hand slipped behind me and between my legs, under the swimsuit bottom, finding the wet heat there. Rubbing firmly. I moaned, my knees weak and now buttocks were pushing backwards meeting his fingers. He pushed the suit down my hips, letting it fall to the shower floor. He was kissing me again, his hands roaming my bare skin. I reached down, stroking him, needing to feel him. He broke the kiss, breathing hard. Kneel, he rasped. I obeyed instantly, sinking to my knees on the wet tiles. The warm water sprayed over us. I took him into my mouth again, worshipping his hardness with my lips and tongue, lost in the taste, the size, the power of him. His fingers tightened in my wet hair. Enough, he growled suddenly, pulling me up. He spun me around, bending me over, my hands braced against the cool tile wall. He positioned himself behind me. I felt the broad, smooth head of him press against my entrance. Relax, he murmured, but it was a command. He pushed forward. Slowly. Inexorably. He was so big, stretching me incredibly, filling me completely. A gasp tore from my throat, part pain, mostly overwhelming pleasure. Oh God. Max, no, I'm your mother, I begged. He ignored me and said, just take me in. Don't fight it, he breathed, his good hand gripping my hip. He began to move. Long, deep, powerful strokes that stole my breath. The water slid over us, mingling with the slickness between my legs. The sensation was unbelievable. Intense pressure, friction, a deep, building heat. He drove into me with increasing force, grunting with each thrust. The sound, the feel of him dominating me, claiming me, it shattered my resistance. I arched my back and allowed him to penetrate deeper and deeper. His hand grabbed my chin and turned my head, and he kissed me deeply, softly with his tongue, and that did it. I couldn't stop it. Wave after wave of pleasure crashed over me, making me cry out, my body clenching around his invading hardness. Yes, oh yes, Max. I yelled, completely surrendering. My head started to get dizzy as I contracted and gripped his member over and over again. When my breathing subsided, he continued again. Now he pounded harder, faster. I felt him swell, pulse inside me. Oh, Mom. He gasped, his thrusts becoming frantic. No, not inside, Max, no. Not inside. I managed to pant. With a final, powerful thrust, he pulled out. I turned instantly, dropping back to my knees. He was right there, throbbing, glistening. I took him deep into my mouth just as he released, the hot liquid spurting into my throat. I swallowed eagerly, taking every drop, looking up at him. His face was a mask of ecstasy, head thrown back, water streaming down his neck. Shot after shot, he deposited an enormous amount of seed into my mouth. And I had to swallow over and over. I don't know how many times. But I kept at it until it slowed, and I kept sucking it out until the flavor disappeared. Then he looked down at me, panting, a look of pure possession in his eyes. He pulled me up, kissed me fiercely. My loving Mom, he whispered against my lips. The guilt stung less this time. I was getting used to the idea, the loving mother servicing her son. Taking care of him the way he needs me to. I was just being a good mother, that's what I had to keep telling myself. The next few days were agony. Guilt crashed over me like a cold wave. What had I done? To Robert? To myself? I avoided Max's gaze. When I helped him dress, I kept it clinical, quick. But he knew. He'd kiss my cheek, his lips lingering a fraction too long, sometimes brushing the corner of my mouth. He'd whisper how beautiful I looked. How he couldn't stop thinking about me. Even those pecks on the cheek made me crazy with love. Just his nearness, his scent, that low voice, my body betrayed me instantly, becoming slick and ready. I'd clench my thighs together, trying to hide it, but I knew he saw. One evening, he had a friend over, Rick. Another football player, just as tall, just as broad-shouldered, with a cocky grin. I served them dinner, playing the perfect mom in a crisp white pinafore apron over a green polka-dot dress, feeling absurdly domestic and tense. They were laughing, roughhousing a bit. Mom. Max said, grinning, join us. Mrs. G, have some wine, said Rick. Yeah, come on. We're celebrating. Rick got a scholarship offer. I hesitated. Oh, I shouldn't. Just one glass, Max urged, his eyes holding mine. That look. I poured myself a small glass of red. Then another when they toasted Rick. Then another when they toasted Max's recovery. The wine went straight to my head. I was giggly, loose. The boys were flirting outrageously. Accidental touches. A hand brushing my hip as Rick reached for the wine. Max pinching my butt playfully as I cleared plates, making me yelp and blush. Dance with us, Mrs. G, Rick demanded after dinner. Max put on an Elvis record. Rick pulled me up, spinning me around clumsily. Max cut in. He held me close, much closer than necessary, his hard body pressed against mine. His hand slid low on my back. I could feel his arousal. Mine matched it. The room spun. I was so tipsy. Rick pulled me back, his hands sliding down to my hips, grinding against me. I was getting so wet. I gasped and ran to Max. And now he was behind me, his arms circling my waist, his hardness pressed against my backside. You're so beautiful, Rick murmured in my ear, his breath hot. Max talks about you all the time. Does he? I asked weakly, feeling dizzy, trapped between their heat. All the time, Max growled behind me, his hands moving up to cup my breasts through my dress. I moaned, arching back against him. Rick kissed me. Hard. His tongue demanding entry. I fought him, but he was so strong. His arms almost lifting my entire body to his lips. I was so drunk and so dizzy, my lips just opened for him, kissing back desperately. I was soaking wet now. Max's hands were at the buttons of my dress, undoing them swiftly. Rick helped, pushing the fabric off my shoulders. My dress pooled at my feet. I stood there in just my white lace-trimmed slip, feeling exposed, exhilarated. Gorgeous, Rick stated. Max spun me around, kissing me possessively while Rick's hands slid up my bare legs under the slip. Max broke the kiss, his eyes dark. Kneel. The command, in front of Rick, sent a fresh jolt of heat and shame through me. But I obeyed, sinking to the plush living room rug. Rick was already undoing his trousers. He pushed them and his briefs down. He was hard, thick and proud. Max stood beside him, freeing himself too. Mom, show Rick how good you are. Max ordered me. My cheeks burned, but the wine and the sheer taboo of it. I said, no Max, not like this. I don't want to. But they ignored me, and Max's look was stern. I didn't want to disappoint him, so I leaned forward, taking Rick into my mouth. He groaned, his hands going to my head. Max placed his hardness near my lips. Do us both, he commanded. I moved my mouth from Rick to Max, then back, trying to please them both. It was messy, overwhelming. Their groans filled the room. Rick pulled me up roughly. Max grabbed my silk scarf from the armchair. Hands behind your back, he ordered. Numbly, I complied. He tied my wrists tightly with the scarf. Rick pushed me face down over the arm of the sofa, hiking my slip up to my waist, exposing me completely. Max first, Rick said, his voice thick. Max positioned himself behind me and pulled down my lace panties. No preamble. His head pushed against my wet slit and started to spread me open. I screeched in pain, but he continued to push in. He broke my defenses and was inside me, inching slowly forward. Then suddenly, he thrust into me hard, filling me in one stroke. I cried out into the sofa cushion. Please don't do this. I yelled. But he continued, his left hand gripping my hip hard. So hard. He was so thick, he was filling me up so much my head felt dizzy. He started his long strokes and pounded into me relentlessly. Rick watched, stroking himself. I started to tear up, pleading with Max. No Max. Not like this. The domination, the utter submission made me so wet and slick, and the aching was building up inside me. It built up so fast, and then I blew my top with one of the deeper strokes, screaming in pleasure and shame, the contractions and wave after wave of climax. The boys laughed. Then Max continued, longer strokes this time, harsher, pushing in so deep. Then he groaned. He froze and exploded into me, depositing his seed, load after load, filling me up. It was so slick. He stroked in and out slowly, pushing more of his expulsion into me. Max pulled out slowly and stepped back, but Rick was instantly there. He pushed into me, just as large, just as demanding, but he was rougher with me. Yes, he ravaged me, violently, panting. Yeah, take it. I pleaded with Max. But he walked over and stuck his semi-hardness into my mouth, expecting me to clean it, and I did. I tasted him, full and salty, and sucked out everything I could. I grunted, my yelps muffled by the large thing in my mouth. Then Rick exploded inside me, just as hard. Just as much deposit, surge after surge. I was so slick inside, the shame of having both of their seed inside me. It drove me wild with shame and pleasure. The encounter continued. They took turns, using me, bending me over furniture, untied my hands only to make me satisfy them orally again. I lost count. The shame was there, sharp and stinging, but drowned out by the sheer, mind-numbing pleasure of being so completely used, so desired, so utterly dominated by these two powerful young men. I climaxed again and again, screaming into the cushions, my body completely out of my control. It was the single most crazy, most intense, most amazing experience of my life. To this day, I still think about everything that happened. The youthful vigor, their insatiable need, taking me over and over again. My mind is spinning just thinking about it. Max went off to college a few weeks later, just 30 minutes away. The big house felt emptier than ever. Robert didn't notice my distraction, my constant trips into town for shopping. He didn't know. He couldn't know. I'd taken some money from my household allowance, money Robert never questioned. I rented a small, discreet room near the campus. Max comes to me there. Sometimes alone. Sometimes, with teammates. Big strong boys who look at me with hungry eyes, who call me Mrs. G, while they take turns ravaging me. Max watches, directs. He even brought a blonde cheerleader once. Sweet-faced, with innocent eyes. Max commanded me to touch her, to kiss her, to learn her body. And gosh. I did. I'm not that bored housewife anymore. I'm something else. Something secret. Something shameful. Something thrilling. Max's. His to use. His to share. I lie awake in that rented room sometimes, listening to the sounds of the college town, the weight of Robert's trust heavy on my heart. But then Max calls. A simple command. Be there at 8. Bring the blue lace. And my body thrums, wet and ready. I get dressed. The guilt is there, a constant companion. But the need he awakened, the need to submit, to be filled, to be used, it's stronger. I don't know who I am anymore. But I know I can't stop.